I'm Kyle McAvoy. I'm running for City Council. I'm very proud to be here in Morgantown, and I consider this my home. I've been here for 14 years now, and I'm not going anywhere. This is a place that I knew as soon as I lived here that this was home, and I wasn't going to go anywhere. I'm a proud homeowner, and I have a unique perspective of being someone who was a student here at one time, and then a young professional, and now in my early 30s as a homeowner, and have seen both sides of that spectrum. And I think that that's a good perspective to have, because you have all sorts of people here in Morgantown. You do have students, but you also have young families. You also have people who are professionals, and you have everything in between. So it's a good idea to have somebody in the city council who has that wide perspective. I also think that it's important that we have somebody who is in no way against WVU, but is not necessarily aligned with WVU directly, because we have a lot of influence, in the city council already. The WVU has so much influence in this town already. It's good to have somebody who is not against working with the university, but certainly not directly affiliated. I took this upon myself to run because I could see what I'm sure so many people have seen, and the level of bickering that it happens, to be frank, in the city council as it is today, and a lack of real success in getting our infrastructure in order and things like that. We have too much time being spent on useless platitudes, too much time being spent on things that the city council can't affect, too much time on issues that ended up with lawsuits, and then lawsuits amongst themselves. So I think it's really time for us to get a new face in there, and I hope you'll consider me April 12th for early voting and April 25th for the last day of voting.
Mr. McAvoy, my name is Stephen LeCagnan, and I am the President and CEO of the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce, and I'll be asking you questions this morning. The first question is, the transportation bill, also known as House Bill number 4009, passed the West Virginia legislature on March 12 of 2016 and is a priority of the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce to obtain voter approval of a 1% sales tax increase to improve roads and related infrastructure in Montague County. What will you do, if anything, to publicly promote and advocate for voter approval of the proposed sales tax increase for this purpose?
Well, I'd like to say that the user fee we have was done to help our roads here in the city, but it's very specific to our city. And as Morgantown has continued to sprawl outward, meaning outside of what is the traditional city boundaries of Morgantown, West Run is not in the city bounds, but 14 years ago that was a farm road. We have thousands of people living there now. We have to start reaching out and addressing things as a wider area than just the city. So a 1% sales tax at a county level benefits us in a lot of ways. It hits all the outlying areas that are still that lead into Morgantown, that really people think of as Morgantown. But it also, I would support that because I feel that could result in a reduction or removal of the user fee. What you have now is a situation where people are penalized for working within the city, and if you can spread that out to a 1% county-wide situation, it's fair across the board. It doesn't penalize just people working within the city. It affects people who are working in Granville, Westover, anywhere outside in the county. The more we can spread it out, the better. The other thing it does, which is really important, is it gives us a chance to reach out and build a relationship with the Mon County Commission. It's really important that the city council start reaching out to some of these other entities. You start reaching out to the Mon County Commission to get things done. Right now, we have a city council that works independent of them. Primarily, they don't really reach out a lot. And the better we can build a relationship, the best it is for all of us.
Thank you. The concept of an alliance housing project, or housing the Morgantown Area Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, Morgantown, Sunnyside Up, Montague County Development Authority, the Morgantown Area Economic Partnership, and the Greater Morgantown Convention and Visitors Bureau under one roof in a central location in Morgantown is a priority of the Chamber. What will you do publicly to promote and advocate for this to become a reality?
I think it's a great idea because it saves money. Anytime you can consolidate things into one location, you have less overhead. So less overhead, it's easier for, expense-wise, but it also makes it easier for someone who wants to, let's say, open a business, someone who wants to make a development. It's a one-stop shop then. You go in, you can get everything done. It makes it a lot easier for anyone who wants to do business in town. It's a great idea. And I would push for that, just publicly advocating for it. But also, this is kind of a weird tack to say, but some people would consider it a negative if you are in your 30s and you don't have family. There's a stigma there. One nice thing that I can say about that is I have more time than other people on the city council would have. I'm working 50 hours a week, but without a family, I have the time to go out and reach out to every group that I can. I can reach out to Sunnyside, I can reach out to the Business Bureau and the et cetera. Every organization we listed there, I have the time to reach out and try to coordinate and meet with groups and try to publicly spend time. Something that I think the city council doesn't do all the time is they show up for their meetings and they do some other time, but you really have to take the time to go out on your own on a daily basis and make phone calls and get in touch with people to get things done. And I'm willing to do that. I'm more than willing to reach out and work really hard to try to make things that make sense for the county, or for the city, like consolidation of all those entities into one roof happen.
Thank you. Next question. What will you do privately and publicly to promote and advocate for the consolidation of local governments of Morgantown, Granville, Westover, and Star City into a single metro government entity?
It kind of goes on with what I was just saying a second ago, and what I said with the first question too, that we need to reach out. As Morgantown continues to sprawl outward into different directions, I can remember, like I said originally, West Run was a farm road, and I remember before the district or anything was built out that direction, and now it has spread out so much, and University Town Center and everything else. You can't bury your head in the sand and say we're just the Morgantown proper. Now, I always hear people say it's a pipe dream to have a metro style government. It's a pipe dream. It'll never happen in my lifetime. Well, nothing's ever going to get done if you always kick it down the road. If you say it's never going to happen, then why bother? You'll never accomplish it. We have to start making inroads. The best way to do that is to start finding some private or some partnerships that you can work out. Reach out to the Westover City Council, reach out to the Granville City Council and say, hey, this is some areas where we have overlapping interests on a road, or this is where we have something we can work together, and come up with some joint partnerships between the city councils. When you start doing that, you foster relationship. Granville has no reason to want to be consolidated in Morgantown now. They make a lot of money through University Town Center, and they don't have the burdens that we have. We have to start reaching out and making it a reason for them to want to join with us. We have to reach out and get things done. And the best thing to do, start having some joint partnerships. There's a civic leaders meeting that happens every now and then, but nothing really gets done from it that I can tell. People meet and they talk, but it's not productive. We got to start being productive with these kinds of things. We have to start overlapping our interests, and the more you foster relationship, the more you get things done, the closer that dream of a metropolitan style government will become accomplishable.
Thank you. Will you publicly support the idea of using some of the money generated by Morgantown's user fee to improve state-owned roadways that run through the city of Morgantown?
There's two schools of thought here. The first is that with the Charleston, or the state having some funding issues, not some funding issues, drastic funding issues, and we start paving their roads for them, they're going to say, well, we don't ever need to contribute. They got it on their own. The other way to look at it is that, again, with the DOH, we were in a lawsuit with them, and we had to start, working together and rebuilding that relationship. Governor Tomblin had a committee that was drawn up a while back, and to determine how we assessed our funds and how we spread out our funds for DOH money. And basically the determination of that committee was there is no set formula, there is nothing like that. It comes down to political influence. That's what it comes down to. And us being in a lawsuit with the DOH, something that they were advised that would cause a lawsuit, and they did it anyways, has been really detrimental. It burned our relation with the DOH, and now we need to reach out and say, can we work a split? I would hate for us to have to fund it all entirely, but we can't not address the roads. They're terrible, and people use them all the time. We can't not address them. Can we work a 70-30 split? We'll pay 30, you pay 70. Can we work a 75-25 split? Can we leverage something from our own funds, from the user fee or for a 1% sales tax if we got that? Can we leverage it with you to make some sort of partnership? It's going to be very hard for Charleston to sit there and not be willing to work a 75-25 or a 70-30 split when nobody else in the state is offering some kind of split. You're going to say we can spend $100,000 and they'll put up $30,000. No one else is offering that split. We have to create a situation where it's going to save the state some money in order to help us, because otherwise they're never going to come. we're an outlier in the state where we are growing and thriving, and everywhere else is having economic issues. And the influence is down south. So we've got to start working out to fix that problem, one way or the other.
Finally, what ideas do you have to improve economic development and create activity centers within the city of Morgantown, since most of the economic development has occurred outside the Morgantown city limits in the last 10 years?
We have a situation now where we have things like the user fee, and I understand that those was to help the road, but it doesn't affect businesses right outside. We have B&O taxes, and they've floated at certain times, raising taxes and all this and that. The more you make it difficult for people to do business in this town, the more businesses are going to go outside of town. And then I just came just 30 minutes before this interview from the barbershop, and I was talking to that business owner, and I've talked to other business owners all over. The three things they say the biggest detriment to having businesses downtown in particular is going to be your parking or the perceived lack of parking. It's going to be your issue with the vagrancy and safety and public safety and the traffic to get there. We have to start addressing our parking in downtown. We recently changed our parking authority to make it a 2-hour zone everywhere downtown and increase the rates. The more difficult you make it for people to come and park downtown, the less likely they are to do it. We don't address the vagrancy issue, and I know that's a difficult one, easier said than done, but there are ways to start addressing it and at least mitigate the problem some. The more likely you are to get businesses downtown still. The other area is the Wharf District is underdeveloped in my opinion with the river frontage there, and it's very close to downtown, and there's that space in between the two that is completely underdeveloped. They're over past South High Street and over and downward towards the Wharf District. If you can start getting some retail business in there, I understand downtown's primarily an entertainment district at this point, but you have some retail in that blank area over there, then you can create with a walking path, you can make both the Wharf District and downtown thrive. If you can connect those two, and the city council can work to try to help promote that, you create a thriving downtown again. That whole space is underused and underutilized.
Thank you, Mr. McAvoy. We have allotted 2 minutes for you to address the public with your own remarks as to what's important to you or anything else.
Great. I think it's really important to say that one thing I don't want to do is get tied up on ordinances that don't affect things and getting into lawsuits and overstepping the bounds of a metropolitan style government. What we have now is a city council that's overreaching. They've done it repeatedly, and what I want to do is be laser focused, entirely focused on our infrastructure and on promoting business. That is the point of a metropolitan government, is to deal with our roads, is to make sure our paving is in order. Our paving contract, by the way, with the user fee, they collected $4 million, $2 million pegged for other uses, and of the $2 million for the roads, roughly, $1 million of it was left in surplus because they couldn't get it done in time. And we allowed an extra extension onto the paving contract, and we haven't really addressed that as we should. We have to start getting our ducks in a row. You have to address our paving, our plowing, our roads, and we need to address how we increase business, how we make things as business friendly as possible. We have to address some of the positives, but also the negatives of all the public-private partnerships. That's the things a metropolitan government should be dealing with, not ordinances for carrying in municipal buildings, not suing the DOH when we know it's going to result in a lawsuit, not making stances on political and social issues. Stick to the basics of a city. Until we have those in order, we shouldn't be messing with anything else. I promise I will stay laser focused on infrastructure and promoting business.